Tomorrow's the 1st of December. What's that mean? Time to make your own mince pies. Give this recipe a go and you're gonna blow your friends away. It's simple, easy. I'm gonna teach you how to do it using just basic equipment. You don't need to be a chef, a cook or anything like that. These are gonna make your friends envious, so have a go at it. Keep these ones for yourself. Give your mother-in-law the ones from the shop. We're going to make the pastry from scratch. We're just going to use normal mincemeat that you can buy in a jar from any supermarket. But as I say, pastry is going to be made from scratch and this will blow your friends away for Christmas. So give it a go, it's definitely worth the effort. What we need for this one is 6 ounces of butter. So I'll get that weighed out. Make sure your butter's nice and soft because I'm going to try and do this without using any specialist equipment. So it's just going to be mixed up by my hands and rolled out. So I just want to make this so you can do this at home very easily. So I've got 6 ounces of butter in there. I'm going to put 2.5 ounces of caster sugar as well. Fortunately, I've got digital scales, which means it's very accurate, but if you haven't, don't worry, you can just use normal scales. So I have washed my hands and now I'm just gonna literally knead the sugar into the butter. Like I say, butter's already soft, so it's mixing up real easily. You could do this on a machine if you wanted to, but I'm going to just try and do this all by hand. So this is anything most people can do at home with a few basic bits of equipment. So just soften your butter up a bit with your hand and knead that sugar into it. And then in with this we want half an egg. I've got sort of a largish to medium egg there, so all my sugar's gone into that now. Have a little dish, break your egg into there, and then just mix that up with like just a fork. And we only want half of that going in, no more than that. So that's roughly about half an egg. And then you're gonna just mix that in as well. It's gonna be a bit messy because you're using your hand, but don't worry, it's fine. So just sort of knead that in with your fingers. So we're just kneading that into the butter and the sugar. So when we've got to that sort of stage, give your hands a quick wash. Right, so in that will go 8 ounces of flour. And that's just plain flour. So I'm just going to sieve the flour in there now. You don't have to sieve the flour, but for me, just in case there's any contamination in there, I always sieve the flour. You never know who's dipped their hands in that flour. So, and then I'm just going to add a very tiny bit of cold water. And I literally mean like your eggshell that you've just broken apart. Fill one of those up with just a tiny amount of water, like just that amount is plenty, and that just goes in. And like I say, you just knead all that together until you get that pastry texture that you want, everything mixed together. It is easier to do this on like a mixer, but you know, not everyone's got those, and the amount of what you're actually making here is probably going to be easier just to do it like I am here by hand. So as you can see, it's all starting to come together now. It is a very soft, sweet paste, so it's quite delicate. You need to be careful when you're rolling it out, but like I say, the rewards are, you know, speak for themselves when you taste it. It's a great bit of pastry, and like I say, you'll be impressing your friends and that, and they'll be talking about it into the new year. Right, so that's all come together now. Everything's mixed up, as you can see. Next thing, just get all that off into the bowl from your hand. Maybe it's, you know, you might want to wear gloves if you do this, but you know, providing you've washed your hands, it's fine. And by the end of that couple of minutes, you should have something that looks similar to that. You shouldn't see any big lumps of butter in there, or it should be all mixed together, and that's it. I'd wash my hands now, and then we'll come back to rolling it out. You're going to need a muffin tin, like a shallow one, just like this. You'll get these in most shops, so you know, quite easily to get a hold of. You might even have it at home. And then I'm fortunate enough that I've got these cutters which have got, you know, the crimping on that side or just plain on that side. You don't need to use these. You can just use a cup, or you know, like a top of something like that to cut it out with. So if you haven't got those, don't worry, you know. And I've also got like a spray oil that I just spray a tiny bit on. This pastry that we're making, that's got enough butter in that if you've got these which are non-stick, it's not going to stick at all. But I just always put a little bit of that spray grease on there. If you don't have that, you could always use a bit of just vegetable oil or a little bit of butter that's been melted. But like I say, this pastry, you'll have no problems with it. And then you're going to need a rolling pin as well. So once you've got your pastry like that, you can wrap it up in cling film and put it in the fridge, but it will go quite hard. So I always, once we've got to this stage, I roll it out straight away. So I always put a bit of flour just on the bottom, a little bit of flour on the top, and then rolling pin, and just gently get that nice, and doesn't have to be perfect. You're not in a professional kitchen here, you're just doing it at home, but try to keep it nice and sort of even. As you can see, there's no lumps of butter in there, you know, that's looking really good. Just keep a little bit of flour on there, because like I say, this is quite a delicate pastry and it will stick if you don't keep it moving with a bit of flour underneath. So all the time, just keep this moving. You know, make sure there's, you know, enough flour underneath that it doesn't stick, because that gets annoying. And then just, you won't need to be Popeye to roll this out. You just need nice and gentle. And then when we've got to this sort of stage, I'd say, you know, probably 5mm thickness, you'll be good to get your cutter or whatever you're going to use. So the first one, what we want to do, cut those out, and we want to make sure that's going just in our top, you know, in the bottom like that, and leaving enough out the top. So we get all those cut out, and then just gently with your hands push them down. As you can see, although I said this pastry is delicate, you can see it's actually, you know, it's not breaking, it's going together really well. So once we've got to that stage, it's time to put some mincemeat in, ready for the tops. So mincemeat, I've had the mincemeat sitting in the fridge because I find you always manage to keep it sort of a bit more solid that way. Otherwise some can be quite runny, which you don't really want. I just go for sort of about a teaspoon in each one. If you do overfill them and they, you know, the mincemeat does come out the tops, to be honest, doesn't really matter too much. Like I say, these are not, the taste is the most important thing, not always the look. It's just nice to have them looking nice, but it's better to have a go than not to have a go. So once all that mincemeat is in there, then we're ready to go for the tops. Okay, so what we just done earlier with that bit of pastry, you saw I put it all back together, and then we're just going to roll this out again to a similar sort of size, thickness. Keep going, just gently keep it on the move so it's not sticking. Even pressure. If you've got a rolling pin that hasn't got the handles, then I always make sure like the pressure's in the center, because if you put the pressure there, you tend to go up and down and then it doesn't come out that even. But with one of these, with the handles, you can sort of just gently put the pressure on and you're getting a nice even. So we're looking to cover the top now. I've got this one which is like a slightly bit smaller, just goes almost over the top of this one. So I'm going to use that one, but as I say, if you need to use something else like a, you know, a cup or glass or something like that, then just whatever you need to use. So let's cut out 12 of these. The beauty of this pastry as well, it just keeps going back together. So if you do make a mistake and it sticks to the table like you know what, then you can just scoop it all up and restart again. But as you can see, this pastry is just, it's beautiful to work with and it tastes gorgeous. So, you know, if you're here, you've got to try it. So 3, 6, 9, 3 more. And as you can see, that has comfortably made 12 mince pies. It might be a little bit more expensive than buying them from a shop, but to be honest, if you try them, the flavours are just so much different that it's definitely worth it. And with that egg that you had left from that half an egg, just going to go gently round the edges with a, like, I've got a pastry brush, but if you want, you can just use your finger. As I say, this video is trying to help you make stuff like this that tastes really nice, but on basic skills and basic equipment, because not everyone has got mixers and all these flash things that the chefs have got. So it is quite nice if you can make real nice things just using basic items. So that's the egg all around those. If you were using this egg for something else, you can just use water to go around here, but just be careful and not to get it too wet. So once you've got the egg all around there with your brush or your finger, just grab your tops and then lay them over the top just like this. And then gently just tap them down. Don't push them, like, you know, don't press them so it's all squashing together. The butter in this pastry will, when these cook, they kind of puff up a tiny bit, but they're also sort of fuse together, so you don't need to crimp them together and, you know, push down on them like crazy. Just gentle tap like that. Make sure there's kind of no air gap, and then on the top with your little knife, just a little prick in the middle, and that just lets all the steam come out as they cook. And then once you've got to this stage, like I said, none of that's been in the fridge. You saw me, I've just rolled that out by hand and literally rolled them all out at the same time. So I've not put that in the fridge because, as I say, because it's made of butter, it go rock solid and you'll have to take it out and it will take a little while. You know, you wouldn't be able to roll that straight from a fridge, so that's why I do it all sort of straight away. And then once you've got to this stage, then I put it straight into the fridge and give it a good 15 minutes for the pastry to sort of harden up and settle. And then while that's happening, you can preheat your oven up and we're ready to bake them. Right, the pastry that you've got left, you can either put that in the fridge and reuse it, make some more, or you can freeze it, and if you make some more you can just combine it. But what you can do, which is quite nice if you've got kids or you just want to impress your friends, you can get them to roll it out like it's Play-Doh and make some shapes, like Christmassy shapes, just to go on top of the, you know, the tops that you've just done. So just roll it out. You can buy little special cutters, but if you wouldn't, you can just get them to freehand make some stuff. I don't know, anything like you could get them to make some triangles which would make a star on the top. Quite simple. The kids will enjoy getting involved, and you know, like I say, if you want to do it for your friends, then that would be just give it that extra little touch. So the oven's preheated now. I've just got water there, and that's the brush I was using before with the egg. Like I say, if you don't have a brush, then you can use your finger, it's fine. So I just brush them with water. Not tons and tons, but you know, just enough, just to give them a glaze. And this is the time, if you have got your kids sort of making some decorations, or you just want to make your friends envious, then this is the time to fancy them up. Put some stars or whatever. I mean, this is just a bit of a, you know, this is what you could do just if you want to use that bit of pastry up. But like I say, not particularly pretty, but you know the idea. Just gives the kids something to get involved with, if you know, if you have got kids and you want to get them involved. And then once you've got that on, I just go with a little bit of sugar over the tops. So just sugar in the middle like that. And then they go in the oven on about 160 to 170, and they're probably going to take you about a good 20 to 30 minutes on like I say, 160. So we put them in and we'll come back when they're done. So they've had about 20 minutes in the oven. I've been working in a kitchen for such a long time that you can just smell they're ready. So, you know, like I say, they've had about 20 minutes, but as you can see, the colour on them's perfect. They are spot on. I normally get a little bit of caster sugar and just go over them just like that, just to sort of finish them off. As you can see, that pastry is all fused together. You've not got any mincemeat coming out, maybe a tiny bit here and there, but these may not look as pretty in the tin foil like the ones you get in your shops, but guarantee you taste these and you won't go back to getting shop ones. You'll be making them every year. So what I normally do, once they've come out the oven, let them sort of sit still for a few minutes. As you can see, they move nicely, all turning, none of them are stuck. And I just sort of, you know, if you're delicate, you can take them out now. But if you sort of let them cool down just a tad, you won't have any breakages. If you do overfill them, sometimes the mincemeat will sort of overflow and it can sort of stick them in there. That's why I tend not to put, you know, any more than a teaspoon. But as you can see, who's not going to be happy with that? Thanks for watching. If you want to join us again for some more indulgences, then just come back to the channel and we'll be cooking something else together. Enjoy.